Hello and welcome in our YouTube channel Metallurgical Facts. So this is the Vizag RNL Junior Trainee Previous Year Paper Solutions, and we are doing 2019, and this is part 3 of this video series. Before this we have already given part 1 and part 2. If you did not watch those videos, go through our playlist of Vizag RNL Junior Trainee Previous Year Papers and watch those videos. After that, watch this video part 3, which will contain the question number from question number 19. Okay, so this is very useful for a metallurgical engineering student for doing the practice of metallurgy questions. This is not only for diploma students, BTech students or GATE aspirants can also use this question as a concept clearing questions. Okay, so this is very useful, beneficial for all metallurgical engineering aspirants. The first question of this video is symmetrical shaped casting can be produced. So I have written 19th question because from question 1 to 18 I have already did in part 1 and part 2. So for 1 to 18 you can watch those videos from playlist. Okay, so symmetrical shaped casting can be produced by, they have written sweep pattern, match plate pattern, split pattern, skeleton pattern. Okay, so the pattern is very important for casting purpose. So the pattern is basically the replica of the object which can be which is to be cast. Okay, so this pattern is basically replica, and this may be many type of pattern, that is single piece pattern or a two piece pattern. This is also known as split pattern, multiple piece pattern, match plate pattern, sweep pattern, skeleton pattern, and cell pattern, loss piece pattern. So these are the few types of pattern, and from these type of patterns the symmetrical shape, which is having the same symmetry, if we want the symmetry in the shape, so this for this purpose we can use sweep pattern. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is sweep pattern. Sweep pattern is used for the symmetrical shapes. This is the only casting pattern which is used for symmetrical shape. So a part is correct for this question. Okay, and the other name of this split pattern is two piece pattern. This is additional, I am telling you, this is two piece pattern is also there. So the next question is, which among the given rolling mill type gives the highest reduction ratio? Okay, so this they have given four options: three high rolling mill, planetary rolling mill, four high rolling mill, and two high rolling mill. So these rolling mill is classified according to the rolls used. And in planetary mill, what happened? They used one bigger, two bigger rolls, and upon that, these smaller rolls are also there for in the planetary mill. Okay, so these are the smaller rolls under which we do the rolling. Okay, so this is the roll which is basically used for rolling purpose, and from here what we get in planetary mill, actually the slab can be directly rolled into the strip. Okay, and in single pass, that is in one pass. So the reduction of this planetary mill is very high, and this is actually highest reduction ratio in for any of the rolling mill. Okay, so from the given options we can say that this planetary rolling mill is correct answer for this question, because this planetary roll, what this planetary rolling mill do, that slab can directly be roll into the strip in one pass. Okay, so the reduction ratio of this planetary mill is very high, and the highest reduction ratio is achieved in this case. So the correct answer for this question is B part. So the next question is, magnetic particle inspection can be used to identify. So they have given for three things: quench cracks, fatigue cracks, weld cracks. Okay, and this magnetic particle inspection, about this magnetic particle inspection, I have already told you, this is used for the surface crack. This is basically used for surface defects, and subsurface defects may also be identified, but this is limited to ferromagnetic material. Okay, so this magnetic particle inspection, that is also known as MPI, this is only limited to ferromagnetic material. If material is not ferromagnetic, we cannot use this magnetic particle inspection, and this can be used for surface defects only. And this quench defect, fatigue defect, and weld cracks are mostly the surface defect or the subsurface defect. Okay, so from these statement, we can conclude that this MPI can be used to identify these all type of cracks. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is D part, that is 1, 2, and 3. So I have already told you about this magnetic particle inspection in one of the video of RNL Vizag practice set. That's why I'm not telling you here in again detail. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is D part. The next question is extrusion pressure in direct extrusion process is more than indirect extrusion process. So they are asking about why this extrusion pressure in a direct extrusion process is more than indirect extrusion. So the about the extrusion pressure, we know the formula, that is P is equals to sigma ln of A naught by AF. Okay, so here we know this R extrusion ratio is A naught by AF, and we have already discussed about this extrusion pressure in details in our previous videos. Okay, so in this question they are asking why this is higher, extrusion pressure is higher in direct extrusion. Okay, so what happens in direct extrusion, what happens, there is relative motion between the container wall and billet, which is to be extruded. Okay, and in what happened in indirect extrusion, in indirect extrusion there is no relative motion between the container wall and the billet. This is the reason, because this is the reason, if there is no relative motion between the container wall and the billet in extrusion process, so that the extrusion pressure will be lesser than in less in indirect extrusion process. Okay, so the A option is correct for this question. We will not see this high ram speed in extrusion pressure. Die friction is more in direct extrusion process, high lubrication in indirect extrusion process, because only relation which it depends for the extrusion pressure is that the relative motion between the container wall and billet, which to be extruded in the extrusion process. So we can relate this question from this option only. So no relative motion between the container wall and the billet in extrusion process take place. That's why the extrusion pressure is less in this case. So A is correct answer for this question. The next question is the amount of heat generated during the resistance welding of two sheets in is 1 mm thick steel using a current of 10,000 amperes for 0.1 second. So if effective resistance is also given. So they have given I value, that is current value, that is 10,000 ampere, and time, that is 0.1 seconds, and the resistance R is equals to 1 mu ohm. Okay, so we can convert into ohm, that is 1 into 10 to the power minus 6. And in I have already given a video on the numerical problems of welding. So for having a better idea about these things, you can watch that video from the playlist. Okay, so H is equals to I square RT, and H is equals to I value is 10,000 whole square multiplied by 1 into 10 to the power minus 6 multiplied by T, that is 0.1. Okay, so from here H we can get H is equals to 10 joule. Okay, so this 10 joule is correct answer for this question. So I am not taking discussion of this question because I have already told you in welding section. So for having good idea about the welding numericals, you can go through one of the video in which I have told every possible problems of welding. Okay, so you can watch there about welding numericals. So the correct option for this question is C part. So the next question is maximum temperature in blast furnace is attained in the region. So they have given four options: throat, stack, hearth, and tuer. So for doing this type of questions, you should know about the positions of these parts in blast furnace. Okay, so for doing this type of question, you should have idea about schematic diagram of blast furnace. So I am trying to draw a schematic diagram of blast furnace here. So in this diagram I will show the schematic diagram. This is not actual diagram. Okay, so this will give you a little bit idea about the blast furnace, how we can draw a schematic diagram of blast furnace. Okay, so I am trying my best to draw the figure of this blast furnace. Okay, so this is the schematic diagram. Somehow uh, I am able to draw this schematic diagram. Okay, so suppose this is the blast furnace diagram. Okay, so what we do, we charge the burden from here. Okay, charge burning we do from here, and this is the hearth level. This is the hearth, and somehow somewhere in between hearth and boss, or in from the stack, there is a 2s level is there. Okay, so this is the 2s level we can say, and they are asking about the reasons for the throat, stack, hearth, and 2s. Okay, so this is the throat, the uppermost part. This is known as throat, or we can say after that this is the stack or shaft. shaft region, this is stack or shaft region. Okay, and the boss which is having the maximum diameter. Okay, so this is boss, and from here what we do, we insert the bustle pipe. Okay, so bustle pipe can be inserted from the boss region, just just below the boss region also. Okay, so this is the boss region where the diameter of blast furnace is maximum. Okay, so now we can say that the temperature, that is temperature range, is somehow 250 degrees centigrade at the upper part from where we do the charge burden. Okay, burden charging. Okay, so this stack or shaft having the temperature around 500 degrees centigrade. As soon as we will go lower, from upper side to downside, the temperature will increase. Okay, so this temperature will increase until Towards level. Okay, after the Towards level it will again decreasing, it will start decreasing. Okay, so at stack level 500, and at the boss region the temperature is 1200 degrees centigrade. Okay, so in stack what happened, there indirect reduction take place in boss region. Okay, so indirect reduction in stack region. In boss region, direct reduction of iron ore took place. Okay, so direct reduction here, and in stack indirect reduction. And at the Towards level the temperature range is about 1700 degrees centigrade. This is the maximum temperature which is attained in blast furnace. Okay, and after just below the Towards level it is 1500 something. Okay, and this is something raceway temperature. Okay, and at the hearth level it is 1350 or 1400 degrees centigrade, which is near about the melting point of iron. Okay, that is 1530. So we can say this is the hearth temperature range is 1350 to 1400 degrees centigrade. So from here we can observe that they have given throat. So this throat have the minimum temperature. So stack have also a minimum, because stack or shaft is the same thing. And where the indirect reaction take place, hearth having the temperature less than 2 years. Okay, so this is 1350 to 1400 degrees centigrade something. And towards range the temperature range is about 1700 degrees centigrade. So we can say that correct answer for this question is Towards level. The maximum temperature in the blast furnace is attained in the region of Towards region. Okay, so D part is correct for this question. So the next question is, if the ratio of hydrogen and hydrogen compound content is zero, then the gross calorific value of fuel is equal to the net calorific value. This gross calorific value is also known as GCV sometimes, and this is known as a higher calorific value. Okay, so this is higher calorific value which is used for the any fuel, and the net calorific value is known as lower calorific value. Okay, so in this net calorific value, actually what we do, we calculate this net calorific value after the deduction of the sensible heat and the latent heat. So this value will be lower. Okay, so the lost heat is deducted from the gross calorific value to get the net calorific value of gases. Okay, so the B option is net calorific value of fuel is greater than the gross calorific value. Gross calorific value of the fuel is greater than the net calorific value. There are so much confusing options here. Okay, so we will see the concept of this question. So this gross calorific value is actually higher calorific value, and this is known as lower calorific value, that is net calorific value. Okay, so suppose if a hydrogen and hydrogen compound will be present in hydrocarbon compound will be present in the fuel. So what will happen, this will produce the steam. Okay, because this hydrogen H will react with oxygen, and this will produce the steam, and this steam, due to this steam, the latent heat and the sensible heat will be produced. Okay, so this sensible heat and latent heat will react in the reactions, and the lost and the this latent heat and sensible heat will be lost during the process. And how we get the net calorific value, the lost, I am writing here, the lost heat is deducted, from GCV value to get net calorific value. Okay, so what we can say, if calorific value of gas, this is the concept of this question. If this hydrogen and hydrocarbon will be present, this will form the steam, and the latent heat and some sensible heat will be lost in in the process. Okay, so how we get this net calorific value of the lost, or this lost heat will be deducted from this GCV value to calculate this net calorific value. Okay, if suppose this hydrocarbon and hydrogen is not present, so there will be no loss of steam. In the steam there will be no loss of latent heat and sensible heat. So in this case there is the lost heat is deducted from the GCV will be zero, and this is how we can say that this gross calorific value it will be equals to the net calorific value in that case. So A is correct answer for this question. I am telling you again about this concept. Hydrogen or hydrogen carbon compound will be present, so they will produce the steam, and that steam will produce the latent heat and sensible heat that will be lost during the reaction. And whenever we deduct this lost heat from the GCV, we get the net calorific value. If this will not if this hydrogen or hydrocarbon will not present in the fuel, so there will be no loss of this heat. Okay, so that net calorific value will be equals to this gross calorific value. Okay, so A option is correct for this question. The next question is important applications of hydrogen atmosphere during sintering. So this is basically the part of powder metallurgy. So they are asking about powder metallurgy part, and in powder metallurgy, this sintering process is very important. And in the sintering process, they use the hydrogen atmosphere. This is only because they want to do annealing of the reason behind using the atmosphere, that is annealing of powders. This is one of the reason for hydrogen atmosphere. Also this is used for the carburizing of tungsten powder, that is W powders, tungsten powder I am writing here. And the last thing is that it is also used for reduction purpose, and reduction of oxide is mainly done through this hydrogen reduction. Okay, that is due to the hydrogen atmosphere process. So this hydrogen atmosphere is very important in this sintering and in this powder metallurgy part. So we can say that this hydrogen atmosphere is required for reduction of oxide. This is right, and this is also required for annealing of powders. So this is also correct, and carburizing of tungsten powder is also done in hydrogen atmosphere. So this is also correct. So we can identify the option which is correct, that is C option. C is correct option for this part. We can use the hydrogen atmosphere for all the three purposes. Okay, so C is correct answer for this question. Next question is the value of Larson-Miller parameter in stress rupture test for failure of material in 10 to the power 5 hours at temperature of 1000 Kelvin. Take C is equals to 40 C. Okay, 46. So for this question, for doing this question, we should know about the parameter, Larson-Miller parameter. So Larson-Miller parameter we can write like that. We can write like that: P is equals to ln t. This t, small t, is time, and plus t, that sorry, plus c and multiplied by temperature. Okay, so this t is equal, this t we can say that this is the time to rupture. Okay, so this is time to rupture, and this will be in hours. Okay, this temperature will be in Kelvin. Okay, so this is actually temperature, and that is test temperature, and this C is Larson-Miller constant. We can say Larson-Miller constant. This C is Larson-Miller constant, and this C may be 46 or 20, depends on the value of depends on the formula that we are taking ln or we are taking log. Okay, so here we are taking ln because in options they have given in options in ln. Okay, so P is equals to we can say this temperature is this time is this this is 10,000 hours. So we can say that ln of 10,000, sorry, not 10,000, 1 lakh, that is 10 to the power 5. Okay, plus C, that is 46, and temperature is 10 to the power 3, that is 1000. Okay, so we can write like that: P is equals to that 10 to the power 3 or 1000 ln 10 to the power 5 plus 46. Okay, and from here what we can get, 10 to the power 3 5 ln 10 plus 46. Okay, now we wrote this equation in our option forms. Okay, so now we can match from easily from the options what we got. We got P is equals to Lawson-Miller parameter is equals to then 1000, that is B may be correct or C may be correct. Okay, so this is 5 ln 10 minus 46 and this is plus 46, so we can say we have in answer that 10 to power 3 5 ln 10 plus 46, so C is correct answer for this question. This is actually the Larson-Miller parameter formula. If we will put these values, these given values in this equation, we will get the equation like this, and we can match our answer easily from this given option. So C option is correct for this question. Thank you guys for your attention. Hope you guys have learned something new in this video, and we will try to add more and more videos if we will get positive response and valuable feedback from your side. Okay, so please give us feedback in comment section, and subscribe our channel and press bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos.